Hey, welcome to the channel. If you like stories where humanity refuses to kneel, subscribe and stay with us. Let's begin. In the cold void of the Andromeda Reach, where stars bled into endless black, the Galactic Concordance laughed at humanity's plea. Primitives, they sneered, their chitinous mandibles clicking in derision. What could these soft-shelled apes offer against the Vorath swarm? The Vorath, ancient devourers, empires of bioengineered horror, had swept through a dozen systems, turning worlds to husks. And now they turned their gaze to Sol's fragile cradle. Captain Elias Kane stood on the shattered bridge of the UNSS Defiant, blood trickling from a gash across his brow. The ship groaned like a dying beast, hull breached by Vorath spore pods that burrowed like maggots into metal. Around him, alarms wailed a symphony of doom. Status, he barked, voice steady as forged steel. Engines at 20%, sir, replied Lieutenant Mira Voss, her fingers dancing over flickering holograms. We've got incoming, 3 hive ships closing fast. Kane's eyes narrowed, scanning the tactical display. The Concordance fleet, sleek vessels of allied species, the crystalline Eloi, the tentacled Kurath, the armored Brak, hovered at the system's edge, watching. They had promised aid, but their transmissions dripped with mockery. Let the humans prove their worth, broadcast the Eloi ambassador, its voice a harmonic chime laced with venom. Or perish as the weak do. The first Vorath strike hit like thunder. Acidic tendrils lashed out, melting armor and crew alike. Kane grabbed Voss, pulling her from a collapsing console as sparks rained down. Fall back to the tunnels, he ordered, voice cutting through the chaos. The Defiant wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's last bastion in this forsaken sector, riddled with maintenance shafts and hidden compartments. A labyrinth born of desperation. They retreated into the bowels, the air thick with the stench of burning flesh and ozone. Kane's team, a ragtag mix of humans and reluctant allies, sealed bulkheads behind them. There was Jax, the burly engineer with a prosthetic arm from a prior skirmish. Lyra, a Kurath defector whose tentacles twitched with unease. And Thorn, a Brak mercenary who grumbled about honorless hiding. Why run? Thorn snarled, his plated exoskeleton scraping against the narrow walls. The Vorath will dig us out like vermin. Kane didn't answer. He knew the aliens saw humans as fragile, bodies that broke easily, minds that shattered under pressure. But he had seen men and women endure horrors that would crumple gods. In the dim red emergency lights he mapped their path, down to the core, where ancient fusion reactors hummed with untapped fury. The Vorath breached the outer hull. Kane heard them, chittering hordes, bioluminescent veins pulsing in the dark. They flooded the corridors, claws skittering like knives on glass. They're in, Voss whispered, her breath ragged. Kane handed her a plasma cutter. Then we make them pay for every inch. The first clash came in a junction chamber. Vorath drones, twisted amalgamations of insect and machine, surged forward. Jax unleashed a jury-rigged EMP mine, frying a dozen in a flash of blue lightning. Lyra's tentacles whipped out, injecting neurotoxin into a thrashing beast. Thorn charged, his energy maul crushing exoskeletons with wet crunches. But the swarm adapted. Spores bloomed in the air, hallucinogenic mists that clawed at minds. Kane felt it first, a whisper in his skull. Visions of his dead family on Terra Nova, screaming as worlds burned. He gritted his teeth, pushing through. It's not real, he growled. Fight! Voss faltered, eyes glazing over. I see them. The lost ones. Kane shook her. See the enemy? That's all that matters. They held the line, bodies piling up in grotesque heaps. But the cost mounted. Jax lost a leg to an acid spray, screaming as he cauterized the wound himself. Thorn's armor cracked, revealing vulnerable flesh beneath. Lyra whispered doubts. The Concordance was right. You're mad to resist. Outside, the Allied fleet observed. See how they squirm, the Brak warlord broadcast. Pathetic. Kane ignored the taunts. In the quiet between waves, he rigged the tunnels with traps. Overloaded conduits, hidden charges. Pain fueled him, each scar a reminder. Humanity didn't conquer the stars by being strong. They did it by refusing to die. The Vorath pressed deeper, their queen's psychic hum vibrating the walls. Kane's team fell back again into narrower shafts where the enemy had to come single file. Here in the crush of metal and meat, human ingenuity shone. Voss sniped from vents, picking off leaders. Thorn held choke points, his roars echoing, but dread built. The queen's voice invaded minds. Surrender, flesh things. Your pain ends. Kane felt the pull, the temptation. His resolve cracked for a moment. Grief for lost comrades. Rage at the galaxy's indifference. Then silence. He straightened. No, a revelation stirred in the aliens' broadcasts. The Eloi ambassador's tone shifted. They persist. How? As the swarm converged on the core, Kane activated the first trap. Explosions rocked the ship, sealing paths but opening others. In the flickering light he saw it. A hidden chamber, ancient tech glowing with forbidden power. Human hands had built this ship, but what lay within was older, cosmic, a relic from a forgotten war. The team gathered, breaths heavy. What is that? Lyra asked, tentacles quivering. Kane touched the console. Energy surged, awakening something vast. But as it hummed to life, a betrayal echoed through the comms. Thorn's voice transmitting to the concordance. They're activating the artifact. We must stop them, before they doom us all. Betrayal hung in the air like smoke, Thorn's massive form blocking the exit. You humans, he rumbled, energy maul humming. Always meddling with forces you don't understand. The concordance warned me, watch them, report them. Kane's hand froze on the console. The artifact pulsed, its light casting elongated shadows that danced like ghosts. Why? He demanded, voice low and lethal. Thorn's eyes gleamed. Power. The Vorath offer alliance to those who bend. The concordance? They fear what you might become. Lyra's tentacles lashed out, but Thorn swatted her aside, her body slamming into the wall with a sickening thud. Voss raised her weapon, but Jax held her back. Not yet, he muttered, eyes on Kane. The captain's mind raced. This wasn't just survival now, it was a web of galactic intrigue, where humanity was the pawn everyone underestimated. The artifact, a relic from the Elder Wars, hummed with potential, a neural amplifier capable of turning thoughts into weapons. But unstable, whispers of madness in its code. Outside, the Vorath hammered at the doors, their queen's psyche pressing like a vice. Join or perish, she intoned. Kane ignored her, facing Thorn. You think we're weak? That's your mistake. The Brack lunged, maul swinging. Kane dodged, the blow crumpling metal inches from his head. Voss fired, plasma scorching Thorn's armor. Jax triggered a hidden charge, blasting the mercenary back. Lyra recovered, injecting a paralytic, but Thorn shook it off, roaring. The fight was brutal, close-quarters savagery. Kane grappled, using the tunnel's confines to his advantage. He slammed Thorn's head against a pipe, drawing blood. We don't break, he hissed. Thorn laughed, wet and gurgling. You bleed like the rest. But as they clashed, the artifact activated fully. Energy flooded the chamber, linking minds in a flash of agony. Kane felt it. Everyone's pain, fear, resolve. Voss's grief for her fallen squad. Jax's defiant rage. Even Lyra's buried hope and Thorn's doubt. Deep down, the Brack feared humanity's endurance, the way they turned suffering into strength. The Vorath breached the outer seals. Drones poured in, met by the team's desperate fire. Kane broke free from Thorn, slamming a fist into the console. The amplifier surged, broadcasting a psychic wave. Not destruction, but amplification of human will. The swarm faltered, their hive mind fracturing under the onslaught of raw emotion. The Queen screamed in their heads, "What are you?" From the Allied fleet, panic spread. The Eloi ambassador's voice cracked. Impossible. They're evolving the war. Kane's team held, but the cost was steep. Jax fell, shielding Voss from a drone's claw. His last words, "Keep going." Lyra, wounded, whispered, I was wrong. You humans, you're the storm. The wave rippled outward, disrupting Vorath cohesion. Hive ships listed, drones convulsing. But the artifact overheated, cracks forming in its core. Unstable energy built, threatening to consume everything. Kane saw the turning point. Humanity's pain, weaponized. The galaxy had mocked them, brutalized them. Now it would fear them. But as victory flickered, a new dread emerged. The Concordance fleet advanced, not to aid but to strike. Eliminate the threat, the warlord ordered. Before they turn on us. Missiles streaked toward the Defiant. Kane met Voss's eyes, resolve burning. This isn't over. In the heart of the storm, as shadows claimed the tunnels turned graves, Kane whispered to the void. Everyone else saw weakness. Humanity saw a reason to fight harder.